combined with my PhD in leadership and research and doing many interventions
Yo,
for
what's up,
companies
chat?
like Amazon Web Services
We about this
and
money
some of the
today.
companies you know in the Bitcoin space. So
How
from
y'all
all that
doing out there?
experience and from the research that I've done in the space of leadership, I meditated, I prayed on how I could say something in the 30 minutes that I have that would allow you to have the most amount of takeaway and really transform you in the kind of leader that you want to become. So, and once again, I'm here because I'm a Bitcoiner and I'm proud. I'm an engineer. I manage large teams. I care about leadership, and I think I'm a decent
Yeah, we in
person.
here.
So
What's up, Miss SJ?
I get to that a little bit
How
more
you
as
doing,
to why
Mary
that
man?
matters.
Salute. This is what I
So,
like to be
as I
watching.
mentioned, a strategic
You know,
maverick is a
I'm paying
persona, is
attention.
an archetype, is a type
This
of
is the
leader, is a
Bitcoin
leader
conference
identity that I
2024.
want to talk about today.
Trump won't
I
be
define
speaking
it
until Saturday.
as
I'm gonna try to live stream that as
the
well.
kind of people that pretty
But
much
she just giving her little
overcome
speech
challenges and
about
become
this.
better
This is
at life
coming
in
from
general,
Rumble,
but
so it's
also
not coming
leadership.
from YouTube.
They're the kind of people that are
Shout out to Rumble.
anti-fragile.
And
And they are
I
also the
just want
kind
to
of
share a
people
little bit
that
with my
have the
community, let them see
ability to learn from these
what other
challenges
people's
and take on
experiences are.
future which
Can
much
y'all hear the
more
Can y'all hear the
tenacity
video?
and
What up,
grit,
Growtech G,
and
Cuz Butterfly,
overcome them
Denise
by
Stewart?
having a strategic mindset. Also, what I want to talk to you about, which is something highly spiritual for me, is having service
Facts. Odium
mindset.
speaks in the building.
I'm sure a
He
lot of
said
you
Kamala
here
called
are familiar with
and
the
tried to get
concept of
on that stage
service.
after she found
After
out
all,
Trump is going to be
Satoshi,
there. Facts.
our father or mother, has taught us how to be service-oriented. He or she has
This is what
left
we need to be
behind
paying
a
attention to,
legacy of
people. This
service,
shit right here.
something that we don't know how it come about or who left us this legacy, this inheritance, but because of it, we are all better. And it will change generations to come. So I think we owe it to him or her to be also service-oriented. So before I get any deeper into my presentation, I want to remind you of the 3 concepts that I've covered and the 3 trifecta of the things that would make someone a strategic maverick. So the first thing that I'm going to cover today is service mindset. And then next, I'm going to talk a little bit about strategies.
Welcome everybody that's coming in that's not subscribed. I encourage you to subscribe to my channel.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the idea of becoming anti-fragile. Because we've all heard it's a good idea to be adaptive, to be the kind of person that learns from mistakes, but not many people talk about the tools that it requires, mental tools that it requires to be more adaptive, what I call adaptive resilience. So in plain
I think this is going to be like an 8-hour day. I'm just, going to go over a few hours of it, and hopefully you guys, we're going to keep doing this until I want to see Trump. I'm definitely going to be streaming Trump's part. That's for damn sure. But we're going to listen to all these different people give their opinions and stuff.
That applies to an individual level. It also applies to organizational level. What I have to discuss today also helps organizations to be more decentralized. Well, Bitcoin is decentralized technology. However, a lot of our organizations that we
Miss Collins, what's up? Faith Keeper in the building.
They become more centralized.
Appreciate y'all pulling up. Salute to everybody in here supporting. We probably gonna be on this all day. Y'all come in and out, no problem. As long as we getting an idea of what's going on. What up, Philly 2K24, Miss B, Michelle Bryant. Appreciate y'all.
As you can see, this corresponds to service mindset. Having more service mindset allows for higher degrees of decentralization. Another thing is that having a strategic mindset allows for having more bias for action, which is something that in companies that I work with, and I've done a lot of interventions and trainings for, they have a very heavy emphasis on constantly improving and constantly thinking.
We could give away some Bitcoin today. How y'all think about that? That makes sense. Let me see what we got going on. Anybody hit the Cash App? You already know what time it is. Let me see.
Tasks of how to manage your daily task and risk in mind, and also optimizing opportunities. And at last, most of us have heard of the concept of learning organizations, organizations that evolve and grow. So having adaptive resilience on an individual level very much leads to having organizations that evolve organically. So as an engineer, I couldn't resist to create an equation, forgive me. I really, really think that having a strategic action and resilience combined is not enough. And only service mindset, if you look at the equation, would lead to having a strategic maverick. But they're all combined allow for someone to embody this concept of a strategic maverick persona. Look at the cool transition I've created. Service mindset. So,
what's up, Clara Booker in the building?
It's a little
Appreciate
bit of
y'all pulling up.
Spiritual concept for me, frankly. It is the idea of having the ability to go from disconnection to connection, from isolation to creation. From the idea of
I just blew that up so y'all can see it.
About your own needs, thinking about the needs of those around you, and not just your customers. A lot of us hear service as far as, oh, well, be service-oriented and meet the needs of the customers. But what I mean by that is that think about the needs of your teammates, your stakeholders, your followers, your family, and constantly going beyond the ego and thinking through the lens of another. And that requires building trust.
Hey, she just said something right there. She said, think about the needs of the people around you, your family, and put away your ego. I'm listening.
And that definitely requires having a relational component to your leadership and just who you are as an individual. So stakeholder management is another key point here. However, I would
we need a Bitcoin emoji. You're right. What up, Cortez? We on that money talk today, sir. Salute to the real.
I try to
Agent Smith. What up, Smitty? I see you in here.
Service orientation and service mindset not only is a good thing, right? It also very heavily helps organizations to have higher performance, financial performance, less turnover rate, I don't want to bore you with this, customer satisfaction, innovation, creativity, and of course, having better organizational citizenship, which what that means is that everybody feels much more heard and innovated and that their ideas are being implemented. So we covered service mindset as a philosophy, as an idea, as some abstraction until now. But I wanted to give you some tools to take away today and not just be inspired, but rather have some mental toolkit that you can draw from when you go back to your organizations, to your families, to your communities. I search my soul very heavily in finding the best tool that I can bring today, since I've done this for many organizations, and it usually is a training that takes weeks to be implemented for someone to change their mindset to be more service-oriented.
I want to put this in context for the audience. We will have, it will be a few speakers coming up here, giving their opinions and ideas, and it's a lot of people around the world watching this right now. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna listen to what she says. It'll probably be another speaker coming up, and this is basically the biggest Bitcoin event, that they happen every year. So we watching it now. I'm waiting for, just to see the information. This is what I like to look at.
However, one tool that over and over again becomes useful and I see the most amount of impact.
What up, thumbnail lady? You know what it is. Knowledge seeker. Yes.
Dr. Edgar
Thanks for
Schein
showing this. No problem. Susan Sago, meal ticket in the building. Bless up, big dog.
In my life. And he created Humble Inquiry, which is a form of asking questions. It sounds simple, I know. Everybody tells you ask more questions, ask better questions. But Humble Inquiry very much embodies what is best about service orientation in the way that actually opens up the space for people to not only express themselves, but also ask the hard questions. And for the
What's
person
up,
that is
CX
asking
Faith Keeper? I
questions, to be
see Francis
truthfully
Green. Salute to you.
curious. A lot of us are born in a state of mind where we are absolutely clueless. I don't know
Wow.
about you, but I definitely was born in a state of mind that I didn't know what's going on around me. And I was extremely curious to learn about the environment, the people, and the things that allowed me to grow, survived. Having that degree of curiosity, it very much allows for people to have the right persona for asking the right questions. And it allows for other people to really, really get to know you better. So it actually deepens relationships on a fundamental level. Some of the examples of asking the right humble inquiry questions that really allows for that the relationship to develop is, how can I better support you in achieving your goals? So if you can see here, it's not about making assumptions as what the other person's goals are about, but rather focusing on, again, service mindset of the individual's goals and only acting as a conduit, as a service-oriented individual for that energy to flow in a way that would allow them to grow, allow them to be empowered and inspired. And other questions that I'm not going to read from the screen. But what I want you to take away from this is the idea that every minute of every day is an opportunity to ask the kind of question that can change the trajectory.
Oh shit. Did they just fucking clap my shit? Why is this happening? Let me see.
Of
oh,
your
okay.
life.
They just probably had a stall out.
And pray, you embody human that goes beyond just this moment in time, but becomes eternal and meaningful for everybody involved. The next concept that we discussed in the triad of being a strategic maverick is the idea of taking strategic action.
Okay, this is a live event that's going on. I'm purposely streaming about 2 minutes behind, so if you see a little delays, I don't know why, but we're gonna keep going until they clap it because the people need to see this. So yeah.
A lot of us in our organizations, in our families, in our individual lives are so busy thinking about the now.
John
We're
Thompson.
so busy thinking about the tactical stuff. What am I going to do today? How am I going to accomplish my to-do list? How am I going to answer to the thousands of emails sitting in my inbox? And rarely we think about the future and the ideas that comes after now. So having a strategic plan in mind and having a strategic action, so it's not just a plan, so we are moving on from the mindset to the behavior, is very important idea for accomplishing that persona of someone who's continuously improving and evolving. Well, again, all
right, I got something else to say too. The link will be pinned. The link is pinned in the chat. If anybody wants to come up and give some commentary based on what they heard or anything, that's available. I think each speaker has a total of 30 minutes to speak or something like that. So anytime you guys want, if somebody hit the link, we can stop it because this is a live event. It's better for me not to record it as it's live, but I'm a little bit behind on purpose. So if anybody wants to talk or have anything to add or wants to express an opinion or idea, the link is be pinned for you guys to come up and talk.
Sat down and tried to think about all the trainings I have given as a consultant and as a coach and summarize these ideas of a strategy to these 6 cardinal rules of thinking strategically. I think the number 1 is anticipating shifts. I think the most important thing is to know that change is constant. I mean, as Bitcoiners, we
Welcome
all know
back to the Mara News Desk at Bitcoin 2024, powered by Bitcoin Magazine. Once again, I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin Magazine. The topic now on the desk is Bitcoin and crypto. Of course, it's Industry Day here, and we're shortly finding, as we'll see on the main stage today with the announcements, that these two sides of the industry are quickly coming together, maybe clashing no more. We've got some new guests here. To my far left, Gwart, host of The Gwart Show and Gwart on Twitter, and Christian Carolus, Director of Financial Freedom at the Human Rights Foundation. So guys, want to kick it off. What's the current state of play in Bitcoin and crypto, and are these two sides of the industry, which were formerly foes, coming together in a time of peace? Word.
Yeah, I think that certainly appears to be the case. It's long been said in Bitcoin that anything that happens elsewhere will be eventually brought to Bitcoin, and I think we're
Yo, why this dude got this mask on his face?
starting to see this play out, and I think there's there's a tremendous amount of new development, I would say, in the past couple of years that seems promising.
Clara, it seems that they cut her off, yes, because I didn't fast forward it. I'm just letting it play. You know, I don't know. It seems that they cut her off because she was speaking and she was showing something that did look interesting, but I don't know. They must have just cut her off.
To some extent.
Well, let's start there. What has gotten people excited? Because, flashback to Bitcoin 2023, and these would have been fiercely divided camps. We would have had, Bitcoiners been staunchly, no NFTs, no, quote, use cases on my blockchain. What flipped?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly the ordinals and inscriptions had the first and most sort of poignant impact on this, and especially kind of ripped away some of the
what's up, Tosha Sherry? I don't want to say your name wrong. What's up? How you doing today? Appreciate you for pulling up.
To just push expressivity and increasing development in this space. So this is
okay. She said he wear that hat and mask on his channel.
The catalyst.
CK, your take?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Bitcoiners, let's say the ones that have been here for a while, ones who identify as Bitcoiners necessarily like this development. But I think what's interesting is that Bitcoin itself is resistant to its biggest fans, if you will, the purists.
Permissionless nature. Right?
So, for me, I personally see Bitcoin as, one, it is permissionless technology, and this is kind of proof of permissionlessness. And then two, Bitcoin adoption actually happens in a viral and unpredictable manner rather than a logical manner. And so while confusion happens, while not on my blockchain happens, while people may get riled up, ultimately Bitcoin just is. And the way that it moved forward, it kind of it just emerges.
So, of course, we're talking about the launch of Ordinals last year in January 2023. We saw the launch of
Riders for Life. What's up? How you doing?
Where both protocols, I think, have a common theme, right? They're trying to bring, quote, use cases from crypto to Bitcoin. Are there other use cases that we might see? What's the state of play? Are these both successes? How do you see the market evolving? Are we trending towards these use cases coming back to Bitcoin, or how do you see the market, Quart?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Ordinals are they're here to stay, and I think that there will be, I'm not saying any of the current ordinal iterations, but I think that the general idea of digital art is here to stay. I'm quite interested in still seeing what we can do in terms of pushing the L1 scaling wise and what is feasible.
There's
been this inclination as of late to, go the route of L2s and really sort of borrowing these ideas from Ethereum, the roll-up centric roadmap, and I'm still excited about what's feasible with HTLCs, DLCs. I mean, I still think there's room to push there. So it's sort of in a interesting spot.
Well, I think the critics here have a little bit of a hard time seeing the forest through the trees. And the question that we get a lot is, what's the prize, right? Why do this? It's a nice right now. There's Bitcoin and there's crypto. Bitcoin is this solid digital gold. Crypto is where we try all the experimental new things. Why erode this divide? What's the upside here? CK?
Ooh, I don't really know the answer to that question. Ultimately, I think that what inscriptions and ordinals kind of showed is that there was actually a deep desire within the crypto community to be able to align with a lot of the benefits that Bitcoin offered, and it kind of gave them something to scratch their itch, both with 21 million, this is immutability, as well as you can kind of do, the use cases that excite you. Ultimately, I truly think that what we're seeing emerge in front of us is the failure of Ethereum, and Ethereum really breaking down from a narrative perspective. I think Ethereum is breaking down from a sound money perspective. They tried that narrative,
right.
And Ethereum is breaking down from a coin issuance perspective too, with other competitors like Solana kind of squeezing them as well. So ultimately, we're kind of seeing this bounce back.
So more to do with the failures of the crypto system than maybe the strength of Bitcoin. Gwart, your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I would. That is slightly more caustic than the terms that I would use maybe, but I do generally agree. I think there's been this idea, we'll observe what happens elsewhere, right? Like I was saying before, we'll observe what happens elsewhere, we'll bring this to Bitcoin. Well, I think there's some maybe slight shift back now towards realizing that perhaps the use cases that seemed viable elsewhere aren't quite as viable as we would have thought, and it could in fact be many houses of cards, and there may be small incremental improvements perhaps to the tech stack that we've seen elsewhere, but like writ large, we haven't seen massive unlocks outside of Bitcoin.
According to Galaxy Research, Bitcoin L2s raised $95 million in Q2. That's a 100% increase from Q1. So obviously there's venture demand here. Well, so why are investors investing in these projects? What are they investing in? Gwart, your take.
Yeah, I mean, I think like
Q1, so
in fact, be many.
What did he just say?
There may be small incremental improvements perhaps to the tech stack that we've seen elsewhere, but like writ large, we haven't seen massive unlocks outside of Bitcoin.
According to Galaxy Research, Bitcoin L2s raised $95 million in Q2. That's a 100% increase from Q1. So obviously there's venture.
Wow. And y'all don't want to know what this is?
Demand here. Well, so why are investors investing in these projects? What are they investing in? Gwart, your take.
Yeah, I mean, I think
what's up, Bolo?
We've seen this resurgence, right?
Appreciate you pulling up.
This resurgence in interest from
Juicy Fruit. What's up, Juicy Fruit? How you doing?
Developers left because there was nothing to do on Bitcoin. Well, now we're seeing this come back to some extent. It will be interesting to see how these play out. It's not immediately clear that there's a trustless bridge mechanism yet to really put Bitcoin on these sidechains. And I would just say that there's also been this idea that, well, you kind of need to prove product market fit elsewhere. Right. And I'm not entirely sure that product market fit has been proven elsewhere. So it'll be interesting how.
Well, how do you assess product market fit with, let's just take an example of meme coins, right? If you look at the crypto space right now, the craze is we're going to maybe see Hawkta Girl here later, just launched a meme coin. We have Scottie Pippen, formerly of the Chicago Bulls, tweeting about Satoshi Nakamoto yesterday. Can something like a meme coin have a product market fit? Is this just malinvestment?
Yes. No, I mean, I can answer that. Look, we live in a high velocity trash economy where people are struggling to get alpha. People are struggling to.
Or they want an easy way to get ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they want to get ahead, and they're trying to get out of fiat, and money printing, getting closer to the money printer, aka being a VC and investing in L2s early, or being a degenerate and getting into meme coins early. It's all very logical when you think of it as the frame of, the dollar and all these other things, are kind of creating this incentive to want to gamble. So, I think, people want to get close to the money printer. That's it. So that's why there's all this malinvestment, is because there's, these are tokens that are liquid, and it's just the meme or the use case or the narrative that is viable and is part of kind of like this this most recent trend.
Well, very Bitcoin defense there, of course, talking about central banking and some of the things we talk about in Bitcoin. Is that how it's seen in crypto, Gwart? How are they looking at what's going on in the meme coin phenomenon? Is there disdain there for what's going on? Is this success for them? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think so, right? Like, there's been 5 years of launching these governance tokens, and
all right, let's tell you what a meme coin is. A meme coin is almost like a meme. It's just like a play toy, and then people just pile money in there based off a narrative that has nothing to do with Bitcoin. So when people put their money in meme coins and lose their money, it gives crypto as a whole a bad name. So when you invest in meme coins, understand it's a meme, and it's just a gamble.
Utility tokens, and people are realizing they can launch these tokens themselves. They can get on one of these websites and literally launch a token in 30 seconds themselves. And so people are, looking at this and saying, why are we enriching the VCs?
No utility, facts.
Literally create these ourselves. We can print these out of thin air too, right? And so yeah, I mean, there is a, I think, and they always say don't say that this time.
What's up? I think simping ain't easy.
Increasingly a movement within the crypto community to look at this sort of barbell strategy of Bitcoin and meme coins, and the stuff in the middle is probably not that useful or valuable.
Crypto has always just been the memes, Pete, and that's the reality. Now it's just becoming more and more acknowledged, and people are just going straight for the money printer.
Well, of course, we're going to be sending it back to the main stage here in about 5 minutes. We'll be hearing about Bitcoin mining then. Topic now is Bitcoin and crypto. Smash that like button on YouTube. If you're following us, of course, we're bringing you all the action from Industry Day here at Bitcoin 2024. The topic now is what we're seeing behind us. We're looking at the booths. A lot of Bitcoin L2s here. Question that I would have maybe for the panel is, what product are they selling? What's their goal in being here? Gwar, maybe take us into the minds of these young entrepreneurs who are here.
Yeah, so I mean, there's been this emergence of DeFi, right? Like, decentralized finance, and there's various things you can do with your tokies. You can borrow against them, and you can trade them, and you can leverage them up. And this hasn't really been feasible with Bitcoin prior, and now we have some, bridges. Not sure.
216. Appreciate you pulling up.
We have bridges now. And I guess there's this rationale that people want to do this with their Bitcoin. And, I think from what I can tell with a lot of these L2s, they're replicating a lot of what we've seen elsewhere. So we'll see, how it works on Bitcoin. It'll be.
I want to touch on what this man just said. He's talking about leveraging your Bitcoin, just as similar to leveraging equity in your house, right? Once this become mainstream, and which is already becoming, as you can see in real time, it's starting to become a lot more mainstream. The big names are really starting to talk about this asset. What that means is basically you can leverage your Bitcoin the same you would leverage your house. You could go to the bank and get a loan based off of how much you hold, and that's good. That's what people are doing. They're starting to leverage their crypto assets, for loans and things like that. So they can still keep ownership of their Bitcoin. They just have to make a payment on a loan, similar to you would a house. This is why I say Bitcoin is like digital real estate, digital gold. That's what Bitcoin is. But remember, guys, Bitcoin is the guide. So the more popular Bitcoin gets, the more popular the crypto world gets, right? And then now I'm looking for things that have real world use cases in the crypto world. And one of my favorites is XRP. Okay. And then we got XLM as well, right? Those cryptos have real world value. Solana, Ethereum has a use case, right? A lot of cryptocurrencies will be put on the map as far as Bitcoin goes. So we need the Godfather to do what he's doing right now. This one has to get very mainstream, and it will also usher in everything else. So we want to be on the front side of this, right? That way our children's children's children can live off of the decisions we make today.
Interesting to observe.
Well, I guess the question again that many people are asking is this progress? Is this progressing towards something? What's the ideal end state here? Is there an end state, or is it a barbell? As you said, we'll be left with Bitcoin and crypto, and we'll just be back to the divide.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I kind of zoom out on this, and I think, like, what does the average person need, right? Like, the average person
they need a Hocktoa meme coin.
Well, they're not financial engineers, right? Okay. So in terms of the total addressable market of a lot of DeFi, like, maybe the total addressable market for DeFi are the people who are currently in DeFi.
Exactly, Juicy Fruit. You can hold on to your Bitcoin and leverage it. Right.
Does this present somewhat of like a vampire attack on traditional finance? We may see. I mean, I think stable coins are atrocious.
What's up, Rosie Burton? Appreciate you pulling up.
It's obvious, we shouldn't be using wires anymore. We shouldn't be using ACH. Like, stable coins are so clearly better. But, for the rest of this stuff, like, 99% of the world does not need to leverage long on perps on a decentralized exchange. They don't, and we need to be realistic about that. So in terms of, like, I view the total addressable market of Bitcoin as, or the trickle-down effects of the total addressable market of Bitcoin as everybody in the world, truly, right? I don't necessarily view that with decentralized finance, let's call it.
I know I got people in here that don't understand what he's saying. I don't want to keep stopping it. I hope you guys can catch up. When he's saying leverage longs, that means basically using leverage from the whatever exchange you're using. So say you got $100 and you use leverage, you can make that $100 worth $500. So that's 5x leverage, right? But all that is a loan. What he says is most people don't need to use leverage, right? So I never use leverage because that's a good way to get wrecked. If you start using leverage and it starts to go the opposite way, you will lose your money very fast, right? So I never encourage to use leverage unless you know what the hell you're doing and you're willing to take that risk. I always invest with money that's mine. So I just wanted to, I heard him say that, and I know a lot of people trying to understand what that means. So that's all that means.
Well, the Ethereum ETF went live this week. Obviously, maybe disappointing numbers for some in that space. Maybe a little bit lower percentage of the Bitcoin volume. So, what kind of narrative here is Wall Street hearing? Right, I think that's a concern when people hear about building on Bitcoin L2s, is that there's narrative confusion, narrative pollution,
King
diluting
CP3.
Bitcoin's narrative. Is this something that you guys agree with?
Yeah, I'll try with that. So, when I look at Bitcoin and then I look at how people view Bitcoin, I think people view Bitcoin through their own pre-existing lens. And that's why you kind of see this trend of people being primed at certain levels and kind of getting into Bitcoin. So very early on, it was the cypherpunks, and then, maybe it was the libertarians and so on and so forth. So, ultimately, I see like this narrative pollution is actually just appealing to the different
adoption. Maybe.
This is appealing to the different mental models of people, and then you got to meet people where they're at, and then move them towards what Bitcoin is truly offering, which I think is actually a definancialization. So not a decentralization of finance, but a definancialization of the world, and making the world a more sound kind of like economic system.
But isn't the trend here, I think, obviously towards more ETFs, right? I doubt that the Ethereum one will be the last. We'll see kind of Wall Street pouring.
Right, tell them let's do it. Start the channel.
Narrative to buy, right? Doesn't there have to be a reason to buy?
Tell them don't think about it, be about it. Do the joint.
I think, obviously we have our biases, but I would generally put most of the rest of crypto in a different category, which to me is just tech, right? And tech continues to improve, tech continues to iterate, and there will always be a faster L1. There will always be a more capital efficient perp dex, right? So my point with this is just saying that, you can sell the tech with these ETFs, and I don't see any issue with that. I don't see why Solana shouldn't have an ETF. I don't, I don't see why, for the next 5 years we won't have many ETFs coming onto the market and selling the idea of tech.
Yeah.
You guys hear that, right? He's talking about these people, these cryptos now having ETFs put on the market. As you see, we have Bitcoin and Ethereum are already there, right? So now he's talking about Solana. He didn't say XRP, but I think it will be an XRP one eventually. He just said it would be many crypto ETFs on the United States Stock Exchange is basically what he's saying.
I want to jump in here too. Is I've been long predicting that the crypto apparatus is actually a DDoS on the SEC and these securities laws. And the reality is that a lot of these laws they're not consistent, right? So the reality is that the SEC is unable to actually kind of enforce what's on the books already, and I would say that the ETH ETF is actually really a sign that they're bending the knee now, and that they're probably going to see a flood of illegal securities start to be relabeled or whatever, and truly the SEC just can't handle.
I see a comment that said, "What's a good crypto wallet to use?" Well, you have an exchange. You can hold your crypto with the exchange. I use Crypto.com as an exchange. Crypto.com also has a DeFi wallet. You can use a hard wallet that's it's almost like a USB drive, and you store your crypto on there if you want to take it off the exchange, if you don't trust the exchange. But me personally, I use Crypto.com is what I use to buy my cryptos.
The sheer volume of this issuance, and I think we're entering into a new paradigm of what people should be allowed to do as retail.
Well, that brings me to my last question here before we head back to the main stage. Obviously, Donald J. Trump will be here on Saturday. A big push from the crypto industry to, as you said, change securities laws. There's been some support in Bitcoin for this, some dissent. I think, why do you see Bitcoiners championing action against the SEC when Bitcoin is a commodity? It's already regulated, and to many extents, there's not much to gain from some of these new laws from a Bitcoin perspective. Court?
Yeah, I mean, I think that stablecoins to me are a good example of something that's like very clearly obvious and needs some regulatory, oversight or whatever, and they will be, like I said, the Trojan horse. And I think that, Bitcoiners maybe in the past have been a bit critical, calling a lot of these things illegal securities, but I think that maybe there's perhaps a realization that Bitcoin is going to win on its own merits, and that we are no longer, concerned about the tech. So we'll see if that
said they coming to the realization that Bitcoin is going to win on its own merits. That's why you see all these political people coming involved, all these senators, all these big name people, they're coming involved, right? Why? Because they realize what most people don't. Better pay attention.
If that's
CK,
accurate.
your take on the regulatory environment, how it relates to Bitcoin and crypto before we go back to the main stage.
Yeah, you know, I just think that some people don't have enough confidence in Bitcoin and they want to lean on regulators to do their job when they don't even realize, like I said, that these regulators are being DDoSed and they just don't have the bandwidth to deal with it. So, you know, I think that this technology is overwhelming and, you know, ultimately Bitcoin's going to win because it's a better system, not because a regulator locked down some legal security.
Well, Bitcoin colliding with crypto, Washington colliding with Bitcoin. We're going to be sending it back to the main stage now for nation-state game theory energy infrastructure. You're going to be hearing from Harry Suddick of Grid Infrastructure, Jeff Lucas from Bitfarms, Lisa Howe from the Bitcoin Today Coalition, of course moderated by Troy Cross of the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Stay tuned with us. We'll be back with more special guests all day. We're going to send it over to the main stage. It's Industry Day here at Bitcoin 2024. And if you get some extra time, head over to bitcoinmagazine.com. Pick up a subscription to the Bitcoin Magazine latest issue, the privacy issue on stands now, talking about the Samurai case. But again, the topic we're going to nation-state game theory happening now at the Nakamoto stage. Stay with us. Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe. We'll be back with more after this.
So what is money and how does it get value? Paper money has value because someone says so. Bitcoin is different. It's like digital gold. It has value for many of the reasons gold does, but that's only the start. It has a limited supply, only 21 million, so no one can decide to just print more. Because no central authority controls it, it can never be shut down. And unlike with banks and credit card companies, you don't need approval to use it. It puts the power back in all our hands. Bitcoin lets you control your finances. Kraken lets you buy Bitcoin. Kraken, see what crypto can be.
Why?
Kraken is another exchange that's popular. I just use crypto.com and you have Coinbase. These are places you could go get your crypto. That was a nice little commercial right there because it actually gave a brief description on what Bitcoin is. And I hope you guys paid attention to that. And that's what the vision is of the future. So I hope you guys paid attention to that. Being that we are lucky and I've been streaming behind, I can skip through this to get, well, I don't know if I want to skip through this. Maybe I should just play it and see what they're doing.
What's the second
Francis?
best? There is no second best.
We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America.
Let's go, Trump, motherfucker. Sorry about the cuss words, YouTube. Let's go, Trump.
Why? What's the second best?
I got you.
No,
I got you,
best.
Francis.
We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America.
Did they just play this shit? Yeah, I want to get back to the money. Where the people at? Let's fast forward. There we go.
That would basically ban Bitcoin mining.
Okay, Miss Frances Green, if you're still listening. Okay, it's very simple. It's very simple. Okay. I'm glad you asked that question so people can get an understanding of hot wallet versus a cold wallet. Very, very simple. They both store crypto. The hot wallet is a wallet with a connection to the internet, like an exchange, right? So if I'm using crypto.com and I'm storing my crypto on crypto.com, that's a hot wallet because it's connected to that exchange. It's connected to the internet, right? So if anything goes wrong with crypto.com, then my cryptocurrency is at risk because I'm storing it on crypto.com. A cold wallet is the opposite. It's just a wallet that's not connected to the internet, like a USB drive or some kind of storage wallet that you can put in your pocket. It's basically almost similar to a USB drive. You can take your crypto off of the internet, store it onto that cold wallet, which is not connected to the internet, put it in your pocket. That way, if anything happens to the specific exchange that you bought it on, you still have your crypto in your wallet. It's not custody by the exchange. The reason why I use crypto.com is because they have the most regulation. I was going trying to say regulatory, okay, clearance in many countries across the world. So that's the difference between a cold and a hot wallet. I hope that answers your question.
Mining in the U.S. I like John. I love John, but I think that was a mistake. On the other hand, we have Donald Trump saying that all the remaining Bitcoin should be made in America. A great phrase, but implausible. Anyway, wildly different postures, as you can see. And so our panel is really pushing into the mystery of why different nation states and different nation state actors would take such diametrically opposed postures towards Bitcoin mining. And just to give the game away right at the beginning, we want to talk about, first of all, the importance of energy itself for nation states in different aspects. And secondly, we want to talk about the relationship between Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure, which is maybe more complicated than you would think. So first of all, I just want to do an introduction of my panelists here. I'd like each of you to tell us who you are and what your background is and what brought you here. Why don't we start with you, Lisa?
Good morning. I thought this was going to be empty. Thank you all for coming so early this morning. I'm Lisa Huff. I'm Ella Huff's mom. She asked me not to say that, so I had to be sure and say it this morning. Former energy trader, grew up in Houston. My dad was in the energy business. My whole life has really revolved around the energy space. And there's this enormous connection between energy, national security, and what our Bitcoin miners are doing to make us a more resilient world, not just a more resilient country, but a more resilient world. So delighted to be with you guys and to be with these esteemed fellows today.
Good morning, I'm Jeff Lucas. I'm the CFO for Bitfarms, and I appreciate all you being here for the Red Eye special. So Bitfarms, we're about almost 12 exahash now, 21 by year end and 35 plus by next year. We will shortly have about 600 megawatts of capacity here. We operate in 4 countries, Canada, the United States, Argentina, and we have a lot of growth going on right now and a strong presence in Paraguay.
I'm Harry Sudak. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Grid, soon to be joining CleanSpark. And I'm really an energy and prosperity maximalist. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Grid, soon to be joining CleanSpark.
Presence in Paraguay.
I'm Harry Sudak. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Grid, soon to be joining CleanSpark. And I'm really an energy and prosperity maximalist at the heart of it. And so this topic.
Sorry, guys. I was notified my mic was on mute. I just muted my mic so you couldn't hear the background noise. But all I was saying was CleanSpark is my favorite Bitcoin mining company. And I just heard them mention CleanSpark. And that's why I stopped the video, because you guys know that I have a lot of ownership in CleanSpark. All right. And they're basically talking about the Bitcoin mining and the process of Bitcoin mining. And Bitcoin mining is like the foundation of Bitcoin. So without the Bitcoin miners, there is no Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin miners keep the network secure. So that's why I stopped it, because I heard CleanSpark. Shout out to me and my company and the executives at CleanSpark. Yes, I am a shareholder of CleanSpark.
Topic is particularly germane to sort of my Bitcoin journey and education. You know, I didn't come into this as an energy expert by any stretch of the imagination, but the relationship between better money and better electricity and the intersection of those two ideas is really what gets me most excited.
Well, Harry, why don't we start with you, since you just described yourself as an energy and prosperity maximalist. Let me take the other side.
What's up, Miss Hakimi?
Conserve resources generally, and why are you an energy maximalist? Shouldn't we be kind of conservation maximalists?
So the short answer is no. We should not be conservation maximalists. We should produce dramatically more electrons in the most clean and responsible way that we know how as a people, because, you know, there's a classic chart which basically shows per capita GDP across one axis and megawatt hours per citizen along the other axis, and the relationship between prosperity and energy production is ironclad. There's no daylight between those two ideas.
I appreciate that, man. You know, that's what I'm here for, learning. That's it, man. Just keep an eye on it. That's all I'm asking. Salute to you for that, man. Appreciate that, Zeb. You know, you don't got to know anything about it. You can get to know about it. You know, this is why I'm here. This is why I'm streaming. And I appreciate you at least giving me a little bit of your attention so you can understand. So shout out to you for that, man.
And so it's a burden upon us to figure out how can we generate dramatically more so that we can deliver dramatically more as global citizens to bringing the world forward, whether that's across technology spectrum, whether that's across.
SJ, I don't get it. And I didn't want to say that because we have an audience, but this is why I'm here, because that's one thing I do not like. Right? Pay attention to what you're seeing and what they're talking about and what we talk about. Pay attention to what they're saying, what they're doing, and what we do. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to help people understand this so we could get involved with this as well. So that's a great point. I noticed that. I've been noticing that. And this is why Biz said, I'm tired of this. We need to get involved with this. We need to see what's going on here. We need to pay attention, you know. So I didn't want to say that, but shout out to you for saying it. And I'm glad you noticed that, because I definitely noticed that. We playing the wrong game, and they're leading us down the wrong hole. We need to be making sure we paying attention to shit like this. I mean, stuff like this. So great point, great observation, and now you understand why I'm here, and I won't go to them and stay over there. I want to bring this to my people as well. So great point, great observation.
Food and education and all of the biomarkers of human flourishing. The energy density per capita is the sort of single numeraire for that idea. And if we don't do that, we're going to owe a great debt of shame to future generations.
Yeah, I've seen the statistic about you know, how much energy we use per capita in the U.S. And if we were to convert that into human labor.
Hey, Clara, that's a good thing you learn from the black ones, and it's been a lot of them, but it's more. If they paying out to this crowd right now, it's more of them than us. I mean, you're right. There are some black Bitcoin rep people that talk about it, but for the most part, we lost. So hopefully we can start looking at this. I know black people like Nipsey Hussle was talking about this. R.I.P. Nipsey. You know, it's one black guy. He was talking about this from the beginning. I gotta get his name. I think he's a big time guy. I gotta go look at his name, but I can see his face. I just can't remember his name. He was one of the ones from the start that was talking about this. And he's now filthy rich, you know, and just want to wake up the people, man. Too many of us are focused on the wrong thing. So just a little bit of time, and that's all, you know. Hopefully we can be more representative and represented in this type of talks and this type of community, you know.
It would be something like 500 or 600 personal servants for each one of us to live the way we live. So in some ways we all already live like kings relative to the entire history of humanity. And that's brought to us in ways that most of us don't understand or even acknowledge. It's completely invisible to us. And maybe in the future, the number of personal servants equivalents will be vastly higher if we develop energy.
Tut3. Sorry. It say you went to a blockchain cryptocurrency event in Canada, BNF Canada, before 2020. There were 4 black people there. You know, it's to me like if you think of ice cream and you put chocolate sprinkles on the top, that's what it's like. You know, the most of it is the ice cream, and the sprinkles is just on the top. You know, so 4 people in there is not good. You know, I mean, that's how it evolves. We need to pay more attention to this, man, and stop worrying about so much drama. And I seen something up here, and I want to highlight it. Let me go get this comment. Then we're gonna get back to this. Derek Williams. Salute to you, big dog. It's a new here, and I'm learning, and I'm here to learn more about this because I heard you and KB on his channel. Shout out to Kwame Brown. This is what we're supposed to be doing, right? You would not be here if it wasn't no Kwame Brown. I would not be here if there wasn't no Kwame Brown. Now we are here learning about this. Nobody's telling you to buy, hold, or sell anything. You know, you want to learn about it, pay attention to it before you decide to make that decision. So shout out to you for that, and shout out to Bus Life. You see, this is how we build. This is how we supposed to be moving like this. This is what it's all about. You know, each one teach one. So I saw that comment, and I just wanted to highlight that for a second and let you guys know this is the purpose, right? So let's get back to it.
More energy. Lisa, you mentioned the national security and energy in your introduction. What does energy have to do with national security? I thought national security was about like weapons and the military.
Yeah,
Tarana Black, salute to you.
The common image, right, that comes to mind when we think national security, we all view these tanks and troops lined up, but national security is 3-pronged. National security is a strong
double speak in a building.
Military. National security is diplomacy, which is what's one of the most hopeful things about this incredible conference this year, the number of diplomats that are coming to speak and to listen to us. But the third thing is your GDP, right? What does a country make, and who are its people? And so when you have countries with abundant energy that they're harnessing, that they're embracing, that they're growing, that they're making more resilient, you have things like the ability to have refineries in Texas or sheet metal manufacturing in the middle of the country, car makers, Coca-Cola bottling plants. All of those things require us, people. When we go to work at those places, at any job, we are putting money in our state coffers. When we put money in our state coffers, we're supporting energy infrastructure, roads, schools, etc. When we think of poor countries, we think of countries without that standing infrastructure. But really what you're looking at is a country with low access or a reduced harnessing of available energy, and thus you're limiting the capabilities of your population. So national security is three-pronged. It's military, diplomacy, and it's energy infrastructure.
Excellent. Okay, I want to shift us to the relationship between Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure. I think that the stances that different governments and political actors take towards Bitcoin mining differs in part because some of them think it's bad for energy. So they would agree. Some people would just think like Bitcoin mining is bad because energy is bad. They just kind of hate. They're energy haters. They're conservation maximalists and energy use minimalist. Other people who oppose Bitcoin mining oppose it because they agree that energy is good, and that's why they don't want to give it to the Bitcoin miners. They see Bitcoin miners as stealing energy from other more productive uses or better uses of energy. And so I'd like the panelists to talk about the relationship between Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure. I'd like to go right back. I'll get to you, Jeff, but I'd like to go right back to Lisa for a second on the relationship between Bitcoin mining and energy infrastructure. How is it that Bitcoin mining could be a positive for energy infrastructure rather than a negative?
All right, guys, this is a major thing that they always talk about. This ESG, they always want to break it down to the energy because, once again, if you guys don't understand the process of Bitcoin mining, it's a bunch of computers that use a lot of energy, okay? And that's how the computers stay on 24/7. They use a lot of energy. It's not like mining gold where you go in a cave or something. It's all done digitally on the internet. Pay attention to where the world's going. Digitally. Okay, so it's all done digitally. So the biggest complaint with Bitcoin mining is energy, right? This is why I chose to invest in CleanSpark, because before CleanSpark was a Bitcoin mining company, they were energy microgrid company. They are very, what I want to say, ESG good. Or I don't know the word to use, but they have a lot of experience with energy, right? And then they transition their business to become solely a Bitcoin miner. So they're using their past experience with energy and using that with Bitcoin. So this is the major problem that people are having with the Bitcoin miners, right? But I understand that if Bitcoin continues to win, the miners will win. Right? Now we're starting to accept it. So let's hear what the people say about the energy usage, because this is a major issue that they always bring up is the energy. Okay.
Bitcoin mining is just this genius of a thing, right? That's seeking out cheap energy. And so you all are probably familiar with a lot of the examples that are happening around the world where they're harnessing water, they're harnessing geothermal, et cetera, right? But there's also so much infrastructure within a current energy grid that's not being utilized, right? We're not monetizing every molecule. And so a few examples of that might be a natural gas processing plant where those are typically built out at multiples of the amount, they're attached to a grid, they're built out much larger than what capacity is actually occurring today, right? They're built with a vision that there will be more demand in the future. So what you have there is basically wasted capital, because you've had a private company or maybe a public company go to the capital markets and build this infrastructure and then not utilize it. So there are places all in the energy system that is standing today.
What percentage do you think of like, for instance, natural gas? So you have a background in energy. What percentage is wasted right now in the U.S.?
I don't know what that number is. I was speaking just anecdotally to a power generation company, and this goes back 3 years or so, and I was saying, you guys should really look at Bitcoin mining because you're a power generator, and a non-zero % of the time, you're paying to have your excess power taken. And this happens whether or not you are running, wind turbines or it's a natural gas power plant. So I went to this company, I said, what is that actual number? And they said 4% of the time. So if we think about the amount, what would be the percentage that Apple would pay a consumer to take an iPhone? It's 0, right? Apple would never pay somebody to take it, but we have energy companies who are paying to have excess power taken. Well, now there's Bitcoin mining, right? And it's accretive. It's a fine tuning of their balance sheets to really make productive use of every dollar that they've invested in capital infrastructure.
Great. Jeff, can you tell us you have an operational perspective on this because you actually do it. And can you tell us what it looks like in the real world to improve energy infrastructure with Bitcoin mining?
Sure, I'm glad to do that. But let me step back, just for a moment, because actually, Harry and Lisa, you gave a great construct there. So let me try to apply a practical context, because we have and we're building out several hundred megawatts in Paraguay. So to play upon some of the statistics that you mentioned, Harry, here, Paraguay has about 6.8 million people. It has a GDP of roughly around 2 years ago, about $43 billion. Per capita income was about $600.
Oh my gosh.
So clearly, political stability and economic growth and prosperity are paramount naturally in people's minds here. And there's no doubt whatsoever that energy infrastructure is absolutely key behind all that being successful here. The challenge, as you point out, and we've learned in our discussions with you, Harry, is that you design an energy environment or infrastructure for the peak load period, not for the average usage. And as was pointed out, as you just said, that could be 3 to 4% of the time here. So that's not a very efficient use of capital in capital-constrained countries such as Paraguay. The political leaders recognize just how important that infrastructure is to advancing their own longer-term goals here. Sometimes they have shorter-term consequences as a result of that. But that aside here, they realize just how compelling it is. Now, what role does mining play in that? Well, you take a look at our industry. Several years ago, in the earlier days of our industry here, the goal was to mine as much Bitcoin as you can, take your miners, run them 100% of the time or as close to that uptime as you can achieve. But the industry and the technology have become far more sophisticated now. With the firmware that's in existing miners, with additional software you can develop, you can fine-tune the performance of those miners. So rather than a country having to actually build out for those peak periods, which only occur 3 or 4% of the time, they can be far less. They can rely upon us, one, to dial down the power when it's not needed, or secondly, to utilize that extra availability and keep the system balanced and manage the loads much more effectively. So that's truly the beauty that miners bring, and we're seeing that more and more every day. And when we have discussions, for example, with the political leaders in Argentina and Paraguay, they're new to this. But they glom onto this very, very quickly. They recognize how the fact is they can improve their infrastructure, their political stability, and their personal goals, while at the same time doing it in a fashion that minimizes the capital deployment required.
Harry, do you want to talk about what you wish people understood about how energy is produced and how Bitcoin mining fits into that?
Yeah, I think that we suffer societally from sort of there used to be an illiteracy crisis across the planet, and now I believe there's an innumeracy crisis where our relationship to the numbers and the system engineering principles that really govern our lives is just this sort of opaque wizardry that we don't deeply understand anymore. And so when you think about what an energy system is, right, there's only 3 roles in the system. There's a turbine that spins with a big magnet, and that's how the electrons are created. There's a transmission system that's designed to move those electrons all over up to about 500 miles. And then there's a spider web of delivery systems at those endpoints that make sure those electrons get into houses or very large conference centers, depending on where you may be. So, those are the three fundamental roles, and there are constraints amongst those roles where it's very expensive to move power over a great distance, and it's very expensive to build the infrastructure required to deliver. And so the cost of those investments end up getting passed back to the users. So I had a conversation with an East Tennessee utility executive, and it was right when inflation was peaking over 9%, and he called me and said, I'm very concerned because I'm being put in a position where I only have 4 options. Option 1 is I degrade service. I deliver lower quality because it's too expensive to continue to deliver the quality that I have in the past. Option 2 is I raise prices and I pass these costs back to individuals. Option 3 is I add debt to our local economy and borrow money, which ends up getting passed back to all the users. Or I find someone like you who's going to buy this power on a flexible basis, give it back when I need it, and generate the incremental revenue required to make the system investments such that I'm able to deliver the current equivalent quality without raising costs. And so, forgive me, but I'm the son of a CFO who tells me with great regularity that revenue cures everything. And so from a utilities perspective, when they meet a Bitcoin miner, rather than saying, is this fake criminal internet money, or saying, aren't you just a power hog, or whatever other kind of fudster type of approach that they would typically take, they should come to us in those conversations and say, oh, you're the revenue. You're the revenue I haven't been able to find for the last 30 years because there's no flexible load customer that looks like a Bitcoin miner. They're not out there. And so revenue cures everything because these are systems that require continuous reinvestment. If you look at our they're not out there. Oh, you're the revenue. You're the revenue I haven't been able to find for the last 30 years because there's no flexible load customer that looks like a Bitcoin miner. They're not out there.
Let's go. There's no flexible load customer, which he's talking about energy, how you use it and make money off of it, except a Bitcoin miner. I identified this long time ago. For SJ, if you're still in the chat, I have a link here to a book. Let me share this on the screen and we'll get right back to it. This is a book written by a black man and it's on Amazon. It says Bitcoin in Black America, ready for a change in black economics. Join the Bitcoin revolution. Bitcoin in Black America is a dynamic new book that explores the synergy between black economics, Bitcoin, and blockchain technology. The global financial system is changing, and the digital revolution will not be televised. This is what I'm trying to say, and everybody can see it. If you just look in front of you in the real world, you can see the world is becoming more digitalized. Explore how to incorporate Bitcoin into your business, job, and in educational institution. This book also outlines the need for separation from the racist banking system and a comprehensive list of black professionals actively working in the blockchain industry. So if you want to learn more about Bitcoin in Black America, this book is written by a gentleman named Isaiah Jackson. So I wanted to get that with SJ so she can see that there are people that's black in Bitcoin, but once again, the ice cream with the black sprinkles on the top, right? We need to promote this to our community so we can get more involved. So that's what I wanted to show Miss SJ, if she's still here. So you guys saying you can't hear it? Can you hear me talking? At least let me see. Type 1 in the chat. I guess when I pulled up that link, it took the audio away. So let me remove it from the screen and bring it back up. Okay. Let me remove it from the screen. Boom. And then I'll bring it back up and see if that helps. But I guess when I went to that link, it took the audio away. So we'll get right back to it here shortly. Let me see. Let me see. Can you guys hear it now?
About 90% of their output, their allocation, back to Brazil.
Can you guys hear it now?
What they can get actually for what we pay as miners here. So we bring them double benefits here. One, we bring them the revenue figure, Harry, to which you spoke to. But secondly, the flexible demand.
Can you hear the video?
The extent of the
Not me.
Investment they have to make to build out that infrastructure and achieve that political stability.
So let me not shortchange you guys. I'm gonna run it back a little bit so you guys can
Let me
hear.
add to that a point.
Here we go.
spend an inordinate amount of time educating folks, including the political leaders, as to the points that you just made, which are absolutely brilliant. Let me focus on Paraguay. They share the output of the third largest dam in the world called the Itapu Dam, about 14 gigawatts. They share it with Brazil. The problem is they don't have the transmission and the distribution infrastructure that you spoke to. They can take advantage of it. They sell about 90% of their output, their allocation, back to Brazil for a fraction of what they can get actually for what we pay as miners here. So we bring them double benefits here. One, we bring them the revenue figure, Harry, to which you spoke to. But secondly, the flexible demand. Again, that minimizes the extent of the capital investment they have to make to build out that electrical infrastructure and achieve that political stability and international independence.
Well said. Lisa, I wanted to come back to you about Texas in particular. What is Harry gave us some alternatives to Bitcoin mining.
Yep.
But how does it look, or how has it looked in Texas?
So I wanted to add on to something Harry had said.
Let me put some respect on this. These cash apps. I got salute to Cash Butterfly. Odium Speaks. I got 20 and 10. So what we do here on this channel, for anybody that's new, I'm a little unorthodox. So I give away Bitcoin on this channel all the time. Wait until XRP ETF. You already know, Blueberry, we in the building. So I just got $30. Appreciate that. Thanks for the support, but you already know what time it is. But it's gonna give it away. So that would bring my total to $55 in the Bitcoin fund. And I will put that on the screen right now. And as a matter of fact, since we in here and we dealing with the Cash App, if anybody wants to receive Bitcoin, what up, Smitty? If anybody want to receive some Bitcoin, drop your Cash App in the chat, and I will give out $10, $20 right now to do. I mean, I'll give $10 to 2 different people right now, and then we'll get back into it. And any other donation that I receive, it will be put on the screen so you guys can see what's going on. And this is how I want to help grow the community, by just giving away Bitcoin from the donations that I receive. So we can see that right now. So he said XRP CLSK, let's go. Smitty be on it. So if anybody wants some Bitcoin, put your Bitcoin, your Cash App in the chat, and I will send you Bitcoin, and that will be coming from my subscribers. And I appreciate you guys. So let's get back to it. Okay, hold on. There go Faith Keeper. Let me get Faith Keeper right real quick. All right, so we got 10. This is how we rocking over here. We trying to grow this thing. So we got. Got you, Faith Keeper. It's on the way right now. Appreciate your support, and hopefully you got this now. You see, you getting yourself into it, and that's what I'm all about, man. So let's go. And then we got Angel Brown and Angel B, and that would be the 2 people. So as you guys can see, never mind. I seen you, Cash Butterfly. You're right. So here we go. I said 2 people. Angel B beat you, Von Illa. Oh, y'all dropping them now. Hey, I see you, Tut3. I'm gonna look out for you because we got savage reactions. I never seen you. Salute to you. Appreciate you pulling up. I seen Tut3 say he wanted to learn. So let me get Angel B Angel. Oh, Angel, she's in my contacts. I must already send her some. So here we go, Angel B. Boom. You getting $10 right now from Bitcoin. Thanks to the chat. I appreciate all you guys for the support. This is how we're gonna move this thing around. And Tut3, I know I said 2 people, but I remember you coming in here saying that you didn't know anything about Bitcoin and you wanted to learn. So what's more better than to bless you from this channel? So here you go. LUI. His name Luigi owns Mario. I just looked at that. Mario the man. Don't play with my boy Mario. MAR. All right. Oh, firm. All right, Mario, the Bitcoin is on the way to you right now. So thank you for pulling up. And now you have something to learn about. So now I'm going to change this back to $25 because I just gave $30 away. So we all see what's going on here. So let's get back to the presentation.
You all are aware that Warren Buffett has, said really not flattering things about our industry. And I'm going to tell you what he tried to do in Texas that is very illuminating, no pun intended. In 2021, after we had this horrible winter storm and so many Texans lost lives and we suffered without power, Berkshire Hathaway Energy swooped in to speak to our state and said, hey, we will build peak we will come in and we will build 10 peaker plants for you. And we will outlay this capital. It was like $50 billion. We will coordinate the capital. We will make this investment in your state. These plants will be 50 megawatts apiece. And for that, we want a guaranteed rate of return of about 9%. Now, what this would have done, and Texas, by the way,
what happened? You said I got you confused. Oh, the OG dude, the OG name. Y'all both had this similar name. Damn, he had a bunch of words. I forgot. No, Tut, you can keep it, bro. That's from the channel, man. Salute to you, Faith Keeper, no problem. Hey, Tut3, you can keep that. You know what I'm saying? This is about growing. We trying to grow. So I appreciate you guys for even paying attention. So go ahead and keep that, big dog. You know what I'm saying? If that other guy is in here, if he type, I'm gonna look out for him because this is my motivation. So no worries, Tut3, you can keep that, man. Put it in your add it to your collection, man. Let's think about our future. So let's get back to it. He said Warren Buffett still has VHS. Facts. Warren Buffett is an old school way, but he's the most successful investor of all time. But he did say some disparaging things. I bet you he wish he could take back. All right, Tut, I got you. You wasn't the guy. All right, salute to you, bruh. But it's all good. You know what it is, man. You know you're going to get some now or later, so I appreciate you.
He said, yeah, no thanks. First of all, we believe in free markets. But what that would have done is, for me as a ratepayer, it would have added a number at the bottom of my bill every month that was like $1. And the nail salon across the street in the strip center, theirs would have been about $8 or $10. And the Coca-Cola bottling plant that's on the freeway near my house, theirs would have been $100 or $200, right? So it would have been like this insurance almost against the power going out. Okay, so that's 500 megawatts, 10, 50 megawatt plants. But then you have Riot, who in Rockdale, Texas, went to the capital markets and they coordinated money and they put shovels in the ground all by themselves, no burden to me, the ratepayer. And they built a 500 megawatt Bitcoin mining facility, which when that storm hit, you know what they did? They turned it off. They put all that power back onto the grid, no burden at all financially to me. So why does Warren Buffett, curse our industry? It's look at the incentives, right? He's somebody that is trying to push upon us an incentive-based, another burden for a taxpayer. That is not a free market. That is not what we stand for here in the country with the strongest capital markets on earth.
I want to ask each of you one last question. I think the panel so far we've gotten energy is good. Energy is good for national security. It's good for humanity. We've also gotten Bitcoin mining is uniquely good for energy. It's good because it doesn't just use power, it pays for power, and paying for revenue solves everything. But it's also good because it is a unique buyer of power, one that is flexible, and grids are sized to peak loads, which happen very, very rarely. And Bitcoin mining can fund the infrastructure that meets those peaks without adding to the peak, and that's unique. My partner at Bitcoin Policy Institute, Margot Paez, and I just wrote a piece, wrote a report called "The Locust and the Dung Beetle" about AI and Bitcoin mining, which is trying to make exactly this point, that AI, at least in its current incarnation, is inflexible and it's a buyer of energy, but it's also adding to peak. And Bitcoin mining, while it's buying, is not adding to peak, and that is all the difference. I want each of you, if you can quickly, to turn to the prescriptive side. If nation states would benefit by having a flexible buyer of electricity, what are the sticking points for that actually happening? Why isn't it happening in some places and happening in others? So you can address this however you like. Advice to lawmakers, like how do you set up a state to welcome and best use this form of energy? Or whatever, final quip, final thought. Lisa, I may have put you on the spot here.
What's up, CC?
But
Stop watching the mainstream media.
I like that. Stop watching the mainstream media. Because guys, do you not know the mainstream media been telling you not to buy this? They've been the one confusing you on this topic, even though it's the fastest growing asset in the world. They've been telling you it's for scammers and all of this stuff, but it is the fastest growing asset in the world. They are literally telling you not to pay attention to it. Stop watching the mainstream media.
spot here. I didn't prep this, but
Stop watching the mainstream media.
Trump said it's fake news.
that's pretty good.
Brian Sterling, what's up?
So we seek to maintain a very balanced portfolio with our data centers that we have in Canada, the United States, Paraguay, and Argentina. But really what gets us most excited in so many respects are the opportunities that do exist in places like Paraguay and Argentina. But you need to keep your eye on the long ball here, because there are challenges here. In the shorter term, you have the risks, as a lot of investors call it, of the stroke of the pen, that overnight you're going to have a legislative action that's going to result in either a tighter market here or higher pricing. But by playing a key role in educating the political leaders of these countries, you can go a long way to capturing that
Salute, Strawberry 10.
That value is immense.
Clara, I don't know her
It's
name.
recognized by the street right now and provides a wealth of upside potential for those of us who are playing in that arena.
I think that essentially the technical innovation has already happened, right? The technology is here, it's delivered. We have the ability to generate,
What I do know is that before they talk, they said they will have a representative from Bitfarms, and I do know that Bitfarms and Riot are going through some type of merger. They want to merge. It's a big fight going on between the two mining companies. They want to join each other. I do know that. And I did hear that this guy here on the left with the red hair, the one on the left, he said something about he's going to be joining CleanSpark soon. So you have representative from a lot of different miners. So they might say things to make their company look better than the other one or something like that. But overall, I'm just grasping the idea of the mining. I hope people are paying attention and understanding that the biggest problem everybody keep talking about is energy. But my biggest concern is Bitcoin price go up. You know, all of this chatter, Bitcoin price go up. You know what I'm saying?
Hundreds of gigawatts with nuclear power to build enormous dams, to build, incredible peaker natural gas plants, all over the world. The technology is solved. The Bitcoin mining network of data centers solved. We're flexible. We know how to do this incredibly well. It's done. The area for innovation that remains is just contractual innovation. And that's a place where it's a little trickier because it's not about writing a new line of code or taping out a new semiconductor. It's about getting the stakeholders and interested parties to understand your worldview and understand your track record of delivering successful outcomes. And so the soft skills required to deliver contractual innovation are where we're going to turn our focus to next as an industry broadly, because the technology is here. We just need the contracts to run larger and faster and better.
Excellent. Well, this has been a really wonderful conversation with a high-powered group of people. I have to give a special shout out to Harry's mom, who's apparently a fan of mine. Hi. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Good job.
All right, so that was some miners that were represented there. I want to turn you guys' attention to the actual crypto market. What's going on in the market as this conference is being taking place, okay? A lot of cryptocurrencies are now doing what? Going down. Understand what's going on here, okay? It might be presenting an opportunity. I'm looking through these portfolios of mine and I'm looking through the cryptocurrency. I see a lot of red in the street, right? Ethereum is down 8%, right? Do not get scared of these down movements, okay? This is called opportunity, right? Why would you want to pay higher than you paid yesterday? You want to pay lower, right? It's one cryptocurrency in particular that's holding. It's not really going down. It's only down. All right. We got Bitcoin down 2%. It's at 64,000. We got Ethereum down 8%. Cardano down 4%. Shiba Inu is down 6%. All right. Kronos is down 3%, almost 4%. HBAR, another one that I've been looking into recently, is down 5%. These are all buying opportunities. Okay. One in particular that's holding and not really going down, XRP. It's holding pretty stable. It's down 0.7%. It's not even down a full percent, right? I've been telling you guys about XRP, right? I would love to see it go down. That way I can buy more. I have money in my account right now in my buying power waiting for it to go down, right? So as these people talk, the market moves. Move accordingly. You know, one thing that I do in my life is I do not invest money that I do not have to lose, right? And I invest slowly but surely over time, right? I use throwaway money. So even when the market was up, right? When the market started rising, I wasn't buying. I was just putting money in my buying power, right? And now is an opportunity, but it's in different crypto tokens. I'm waiting for XRP to go down. I wanted to go down so I could put some more money in here, but it's not moving, which is crazy to me. It's showing a lot of strength right now, right? Even as the entire most of the market is crashing, or people think is crashing, right? XRP is holding steady. Can XRP go down so I can make some purchase while I watch this? Okay, let's get back to it. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit so we can see.
Welcome back to the Mara News Desk at Bitcoin 2024, powered by Bitcoin Magazine. I'm your host, Pete Rizzo, editor of Bitcoin Magazine. We're joined by a new round of special guests here. Alex Thorn, head of research at Galaxy. Margot Paez, fellow at Bitcoin Policy Institute. You just heard nation-state game theory, energy infrastructure on Industry Day here at Bitcoin 2024. Now we're going to switch the topic a little bit. Backing the dollar with Bitcoin. So we'll have a big speaker here tomorrow. You may know him, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This has been his key policy proposal, or one of the things that differentiates him now.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a presidential candidate that's really not talked about in the mainstream as much as the two parties, but they say he will be speaking tomorrow. If I'm available, I'll probably stream that. If I can't stream it as he talk, when I get off work, I'll probably go over what he says. And in a minute, I'm going to end this live stream, and I'm going to drop the link to this. If anybody wants to continue watching it on their own, they can. I just want to bring a little bit of information to the people, man. I don't want to oversaturate you with this stuff because this is about an 8-hour event today. I just wanted to go over a couple hours of it to get you in tune to it, turn your mind on to it. And in a little bit, I'm going to end this stream, but I just want you guys to pay attention, right? I'm going to drop the link to this stream in the chat. So if anybody wants to continue watching the stream, they have all access to it, right? So I just wanted to come here and talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on so you can see that this is real, okay? This is not a game, all right? They talked about the Bitcoin miners. I'm heavily invested in the Bitcoin miners, right? I'm not telling you to buy, hold, or sell, but me personally, I like CleanSpark, and yeah. That's it. I'm going to let these guys talk a little bit. I'm going to drop the link to the actual presentation that's going on right now live. And if you guys feel like it, you can, go through it and look at it. Tomorrow they said John F. Kennedy Jr. will be up there. So that would be good. Or Robert F. Kennedy. Sorry about that. He will be up there tomorrow speaking. So that would be a good thing to look at because that's another presidential candidate. All right. And then Saturday, Michael Saylor will be on speaking later on in the week. You have a lot of big names that's going to be coming to speak and give a presentation. And I'm waiting for Saturday. I want to hear what Donald Trump say. But that's just me personally. So understand what's going on in the market. Okay. Take these opportunities to educate yourself a little bit. That's it. I don't want to oversaturate you guys with this stuff. So we're going to baby walk this. We're going to all get involved with this. So let's let them talk a little bit about what they just heard. Then we're going to end the stream. I'm going to drop the link to this stream in the chat so you guys can see it. And you guys have a great day for the rest of your day. So let's get to the finish of this, and then I'm going to drop the link to the stream in the chat. So everybody that wants to look at it, they can do that.
Now from Donald Trump, who we'll hear from on Saturday. Back in the dollar bit with Bitcoin. You may know him, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This has been his key policy proposal, or one of the things that differentiates him now from Donald Trump, who we'll hear from on Saturday. Back in the dollar bit with Bitcoin. Why do we want to do this, Alex? Why is this a good idea?
Well, RFK's proposal, right, is to partially back the dollar, Right. So with Bitcoin and I think metals, too, precious metals, proposal that
basket of assets.
His uncle, John F. Kennedy Jr., or John F. Kennedy, apparently wanted to do something like that. That's what RFK has said. I wouldn't back the dollar with Bitcoin. Okay. I think it's a terrible idea. I think
coming out strong.
It will immediately crash the value of the dollar if you start formally buying Bitcoin for the purpose of protecting the dollar, hedging debasement, whatever it is. So some of the proposals I've seen include putting Bitcoin in the Exchange Stability Fund in the Treasury Department. Terrible idea. That will just if you bought corn in that vehicle, it would crash the dollar, right? Better to buy Bitcoin as a nation state for geopolitical reasons, in my opinion, for national security reasons. There's no need to literally crash the dollar as you buy Bitcoin. I think it obviously does make sense to hold scarce assets, any nation, to hedge from the likely debasement of your currency forever, but there's no need to accelerate it as for that purpose. So I'm more of a supporter of legislation that would say create a special purpose vehicle like the SPR.
Maybe like the Lummis bill that was proposed yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I saw it was reported. I've seen two things. One, I saw somebody said that it would be that the Fed holds the Bitcoin. Also seems like a dumb idea to me. And then the other one was somebody mentioning the Exchange Stability Fund inside the Treasury. I don't like either of these. I think actually should have like a multi-sig that includes the Congress as well, and it should be specially authorized.
Distributed amongst the government.
Yes, like the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
So Margot, you're on the research side over at the Bitcoin Policy Institute, interfacing with Washington. Is this idea viewed as a crazy idea there, or fringe? Is it mainstreaming? Your take?
I think it's very fringe, especially for Democrats to even consider backing the dollar in that way. But, you know, this is a very, very unique moment in history right now. We had President Biden drop out just months before the election in November.
Right.
Donald Trump was nearly assassinated.
Right, yes.
I mean, who knows? I mean, everything is up in the air. Anything's
Salute
possible.
Savage
Well, I think
reactions.
it hits at really what people are concerned about this year. I think more than anything ahead of election 2024 is the economy, right? People are feeling like they aren't getting ahead. And one of the reasons that we talk a lot about Bitcoin is the U.S. dollar, right? So it brings us back with backing Bitcoin with the U.S. dollar. It seems like people want solutions for the U.S. dollar. Is there a solution here? Is the U.S. dollar slowly trending towards zero?
Yeah, I don't think there is a solution. I think, look, every reserve currency in the history of the world has eventually failed, right? Except for the dollar, but that's the dollar.
No problem. No
Yes,
problem.
There is still time. I think you'd be crazy to think that it
What up,
would
Taco
last
Man?
forever, right? You'd have to believe in the end of history to believe that.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty much inevitable. If the Dutch would have loved to own like the French livre. Right, and the French would have loved to own, knowing what they know now, like the British
Welcome
pound.
to Bitcoin 2024.
It really is this like shell game, like confidence game with these. Again, the second you start hedging your own currency's value, it's going to you effectively ensure that it will collapse.
Well, Margot, I guess the question is there a sense in Washington that the average person isn't getting ahead, that the dollar is the problem? Is there even acknowledgement of that?
Ooh, that is a very, very, very deep question. I mean, my sense is that most people have not yet connected an issue with currency or fiat currency in particular and their economic problems. I think most people and most politicians are really more focused on job creation and uplifting the middle class. I believe that was also one of Kamala Harris's recent campaign platforms, that she's making that central to her platform. So I don't see the concern around the dollar itself becoming a central theme in this election or for people just yet. But if there is some major economic crisis, that could change, where it makes that distinction very clear.
Well, I think one thing I wanted to point out is we just really haven't seen a convergence of Bitcoin and the economic issues, right? We've seen Trump come out, talk about financial independence, talk about energy independence, but there really isn't a lot of talk about how the average person can use Bitcoin to get ahead. Why is that, Alex?
Yeah, I don't think it's well known. I agree with Margot that there's no interest, I think, in Washington to have a discussion about the value or longevity of the dollar. I will say there's tons of interest in talking about inflation and how damaging it's been, and so it only seems like a mere hop, skip, and jump to get from there to actually talking about Bitcoin's value as a scarce asset as opposed to simply as
certainly inflation driving a lot of consumer behavior in Bitcoin, a lot of people dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. Maybe you could speak to those trends that you've seen, Margot, or just how your life has changed as someone who owns Bitcoin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's completely made me rethink saving, rethink about, valuing the future investments over the present. And I think all of that is really valuable for people when they learn about Bitcoin, when they realize, okay, actually our currency, fiat currency, this debt money actually forces us to spend now and forces us to be very wasteful. And when you are able to take that step from fiat to Bitcoin, you have this realization that there is a better way to organize your life and to change these fundamental incentives. And a certain part of that can be from switching out the type of currency or type of money that you're using. So there's definitely a lot of value there that just is not yet mainstream enough for people to get. So far, it's really all about, investments, speculation still, ETFs, and that's more taking people towards store value. But I think when we get to the point where if we were to have like an inflation crisis, right, I think people would start to see and value things a little bit differently, and they may think of Bitcoin more as than just an investment, like it's actually something that they can use in their everyday life.
Well, I think the worry here is this a marriage of convenience, right? Does this result in real change? By this I mean, Donald Trump supporting Bitcoin, RFK supporting Bitcoin, or post the election, do we go back to what's good for the dollar is what rules in Washington? Alex, your take?
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely what happens. I think this is purely politics. I think, look, it's better to have at least a laissez-faire approach to Bitcoin than the current, I would say, mostly hostile environment we have from the U.S. government today. But I wouldn't expect a national Bitcoin policy to truly emerge from any of the candidates. In the end, right, power in Washington is derived partly, in large part, by the dollar's dominance. That's sort of why I'm arguing, too, that if you own Bitcoin as a nation, the U.S. were to add it as a reserve currency or hold it strategically, it shouldn't do so in relation to the dollar. It should do so because other nations are holding it, because it might be used in trade.
Are holding it, right?
That's what I mean. It should be more of a geopolitical thing, and that way you could probably do both, stack it as the government and you protect the dollar's value in the scheme of things. I mean, I really think that the second you start backing the dollar with other things now, it's going to start losing value almost immediately.
I'll switch to another thing that we haven't really heard Donald Trump talk about, and that's the exemption for small purchases, right? Capital gains still on every purchase. There is an imbalance between the Bitcoin and the U.S. dollar, and Bitcoin is in some ways not really competing as a currency at present, but could. Margot, your take on that?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin could definitely compete as a currency in the future, but I do think that we need to see the strength of the dollar really, really decline to that point where people really say, okay, I need this alternative. On the other hand, there is this whole movement around BRICS. And so I think that's very interesting as well in this whole kind of multipolar world that is developing. And a lot of countries do want to get out of the dollar hegemony. So, there is a lot of potential there. I think if there is some way for other countries to compete with a different currency, that may actually leave an opening for Bitcoin to come in. But right now, I still see the dollar as very, very strong in that regard.
Yeah, I agree, though. I think that you would rather, theoretically, if we admit with ourselves that the dollar won't always be the reserve, then wouldn't you prefer a global decentralized digital scarce commodity to say like your adversary's currency being the one? I think it's really hard to get people to go from step one to step two there in that thinking.
Let's go with a question from the YouTube channel. Of course, we're broadcasting live on X, YouTube, and Rumble, taking questions live. So if you're watching, follow along. One of the thousands of people, shoot us a question. We'll bring them up. This one from a listener, viewer. They want to know what the Bitcoin and crypto markets are going to look like after this election. I'll add a modifier there. What's the best case scenario, right? We know things are bad currently. There's some good, right? The ETF's going live. There's some bad, which we just discussed. But what's a win here for Bitcoin and crypto look like in November?
Dozens of companies go public, by the way, I would say. A change of leadership at the SEC. If somebody like Hester Peirce were put in charge of the SEC, one of the most interesting things people don't talk about, I think you will see dozens of IPOs from the Bitcoin industry, from the crypto industry.
Isn't that happening currently? We just heard Fold go public yesterday.
I'm pretty sure the only publicly listed companies in all of crypto are
the
Coinbase, the miners, and Fold now, and maybe one or two other SPACs, but the only Fold and Coinbase are the only two venture-backed companies to ever go public, basically, in crypto. All the miners are not venture-backed, basically. Right. Galaxy is public in Canada, but we're not venture-backed, right? So I think that would be one of the main things. You could imagine everything from, like, Bitcoin brokerages to, like, literally the surveillance companies, Chainalysis, perfectly strong business, right? Like, they I don't see any reason why, but the SEC is.
So you're saying public markets benefits, lots of new options for stock
and then,
buyers.
Of course, more ETFs. I would say,
more
ETFs.
Likely, okay, interesting. Margot, your take on how Bitcoin wins in November?
I think Bitcoin wins in November if a government doesn't try to impose too many regulations on how people can use Bitcoin. I mean, I think this is great. Right now we have this issue of Bitcoin Magazine, and it's the privacy issue, right? I just put that up there.
Beautiful.
Oh God, I look terrible with this hat on. But yeah, the privacy issue, right? And I think that's a really big issue right now. We've had people arrested with Samurai Wallet and all this happening, and I think that Bitcoin wins if we win in these trials. and Bitcoin wins if these regulations do not stop people from using Bitcoin in any way that they want to use it. But I do agree that this is, I think we're entering a future for this whole industry that is really about to blow up and go mainstream. I think the ETFs really showed that.
Well, I want to stick with your hat, of course, make Bitcoin great again, but for many, the red hat in America has become a divisive symbol, right? So I think people might look at the Bitcoin conference, they might see the hats in the crowd, they might see Donald Trump, and they might think, maybe this isn't something we should support. You mentioned Kamala Harris, the current presumptive nominee. Is there a risk here that essentially there is retribution from the industry based on what's happening here in Nashville at this conference? Do you get that sense, Marco?
Okay. Do you think, sorry, could you say that again about
so,
Harris?
Retribution, essentially, could you see a new administration say, hey, you supported the wrong candidate, sorry, you haven't, you're going to stay in the doghouse, proverbially?
I don't know. I think sentiment changes very quickly depending on what happens, what statements are made. So, I don't know. I think I keep an open mind on that.
Mm-hmm. No retribution here from a forward administration, maybe a Democratic win in November. Your take, Alex?
I think I think there's a risk. I think I don't think anybody should really want Bitcoin to be partisan in American politics.
I think there are contingents who do believe that.
Yeah, I don't think you should, I guess. Let me rephrase it then. Yeah, you definitely shouldn't want it. It's obviously the network has no concept of partisan or any kind of politics, right? It's not aware that Bitcoin isn't doing anything related to politics.
You don't think Satoshi wanted us all to vote for Donald Trump in 2024?
That's a good question.
Yeah, actually, I think it was on the March 7, 2008.
He posted that on Bitcoin Talk.
It was like around 12:30 p.m. and he said, "Look, in 2024."
Well, maybe let's talk about what
we should Photoshop that up.
What would Satoshi think? Satoshi Nakamoto, of course, the founder, creator of Bitcoin, still unknown, anonymous out there. What would you think his perception would be of the situation, Alex?
I think this is well beyond what Satoshi had envisioned. I've read all of the Satoshi commentary. The closest is, how Finney talked a little bit about sort of really wider adoption, but I think this is way beyond what anyone really thought was possible, to be honest.
Huh. Margot?
Yeah, no, I don't think that this was anything that Satoshi could have possibly imagined, that it would have gone this big, and then that it would have become literally, really a part of the 2024 presidential election in the United States. Even reaching that level, I think that was beyond anything he could have envisioned.
Well, we got some fans in the chat here. Timmy Rich, Bitcoin should not be partisan, all caps, wholeheartedly endorse that. But maybe backing up a little bit to 2023, 2022, one thing we haven't touched on the desk today for those viewing at home is FTX, right? The corruption in crypto that we saw. Sam?
Well, we already know what happened with FTX. Like I said, you guys hear it. I just came on to give you a little bit of what's going on. If you guys want, I put the link to this actual real live stream that's going on right now. If you guys want, you can continue watching throughout the day. You can go back and look at it. But I just wanted to stay on here maybe a couple hours and bring this to the people so they can see the attention that it's getting. And you guys have a great day. Salute to everybody that came. Let me check and make sure I didn't get any more Cash Apps before I leave. And the link to this event is in the chat. Yes, I did. I got appreciate you guys, man. 2 = 1. Salute to you for that donation. She just sent $20. So as you guys know how we rock over here, I'm gonna change this right now to show the amount of money that we have on this channel. So 20 plus 25 is 45. So we got $45 in the Bitcoin fund. And that's what it is, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to thank you so much for the donation. And what up, TP? Appreciate you pulling up. And if you guys would like to receive some Bitcoin, just put your Cash App in the chat and I will give you Bitcoin. So salute to everybody that donated. Understand that your donations are actually being given back to your community in the form of Bitcoin. I want to educate as many people as I can with this so we can get in the mix, so we can start understanding what's really going on out here and why this is so important for us to learn about. We don't want to be behind the 8 ball. We already are, but we don't want to continuously be behind the 8 ball, focus on a lot of bullshit all day. Okay. So thank you all for pulling up. Congrats to everybody. Yes, congrats to everybody that received Bitcoin. Salute to everybody that donated. And it all comes from the chat. It all comes from the community. And we're gonna keep it like that over here. So shout out to everybody here. Salute to you, Odium Speaks, for everything you do to support my channel, man. You always put in your expertise and knowledge in the chat, and that's very helpful for everybody to get a clear understanding of some of the terms that I might mention that they don't understand. So I very much appreciate you. You guys make sure you subscribe to Odium Speaks channel, man. He does not engage in all of this foolishness that you see on this app. He's very serious on his channel, and I think his channel needs to be promoted a little bit more than what it is. So you guys make sure you subscribe to him and tune into him, tap in with him sometimes with the things he talks about. Shout out to everybody here, man. Shout out to a lot of people, man. Shout out to the meal ticket. Shout out to Garrett, 86K. Shout out to TJ. Shout out to KB. Appreciate you, KB, because you had somebody come in here today that just wanted to learn, that come from you, man. So shout out to you, and shout out to everybody in the sector, man. Hopefully we could get on one accord and start moving accordingly, man, and stop acting like children on here. So other than that, man, salute to everybody here, and hit the like. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Denise Stewart, hit the like before you exit. And that's all Biz would like to ask. And if you want to watch this full presentation and continuously look through the day, the link is in the chat to what's going on today. I will try to come on tomorrow. If I don't catch it while it's live, when I get home tomorrow, I will go through the highlights of the event with the community. And Saturday, I will definitely be very hard trying to live stream Mr. Donald Trump when he's talking about this. Okay, I think he's going to be speaking Saturday around 2-3 p.m. Right? So you guys stay tuned. You guys stay focused, man. And yeah, salute to everybody and their family. I holla at y'all. Shout out to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all. Go pay attention to this and in your own time. All right. Time is your friend. You do not have to rush into this. Okay. You do not have to rush into anything. Take your time. Make sure you have an understanding of what's going on before you make any financial decisions. Okay. All right. Salute to y'all, man. Protect your peace, protect your happiness. And I'ma holla at y'all. Appreciate y'all.